fact, you guys probably like it. That's why we're here. You know, we go on like that. So you're good at taking directions, you're good at being told to do something and doing it. Let's try something different. Now, I want you to say what I say exactly when I say it. Not after, but exactly when I say it. Are you ready? Set, go. Say what I say exactly when I say it. Now, don't try to say it after I say it. What you want to do is to say what I say exactly when I say it. Now, I tell you what, the thing is, you can't say exactly. The thing is, you can't. The thing is, you can't. Because I don't know what it is I'm about to say. But you're trying to keep up with me. So what becomes important? What becomes important as to how? As to how? With me now. As to how I say. So now, say what I say and do what I do. Okay, here we go. Y'all ready? Okay. Stay with me, stay with me. Say what I say exactly. Yeah. Say what I say exactly. I tell you what. Let's say what she says. Look at her body. Let's say what she says. Stay with her, look at her body. Keep going good. What she said. Look at her body. Stay with her, keep going. Try to keep the talk going. Try to keep freeze. Everybody freeze exactly where she is. Try to match. You guys, all night long, we're going to freeze. And every time you freeze, I want you to freeze like kindergartens. You ever watch kindergartens freeze? They love freezing, right? They almost vibrate. That's what I want. I want you to be able to look at her feet. Where are her hips? And the shoulders. What about the fingers? Are the fingers open? Are they closed? Try to stay with us. Notice that the right palm is out. That's different than the right palm in. Relax. What did that feel like standing in that position? Yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy standing in that position. It's a learned item, but it's also an opportunity to really feel what she was feeling at that time without you having to commit to it. It's not you, it's her. It's not you, it's me. So take opportunities here in order to say what you say and see what another body feels like, right? As you say what I say exactly when he says. Look at his arms.
Hey.
Try to keep the rap going.
My name is Aiden.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Say anything.
We're doing it.
What he says.
Anything that I say, I can do whatever I want.
but she says. Freeze. Take a look. So she didn't feel like she knew what to say. What does her body say? It's not It's not open, right? Maybe not quite as open as his was. And we could hear it, and now we can see it. Things are closed in. Our body gives those kind of languages one to the other. So it's important that we be real conscious of what that feels like when you're not feeling strong, or you're not feeling sure. Sure is this, right? Here I am. Let's see if anybody can take us there. Go.
Hey guys, this is Chris, and my name is Not Justice, and I like to dance.
I just had to stop him in the dance. Okay. Hey, find a partner, find a friend.
Partner.
Everyone got one? Okay. One of you is Bach, and the other is Beethoven. I'm Beethoven. Okay? So besides Bach and Beethoven. And your couple, I don't want you to be too close to anyone. So kind of move around, make sure your couple isn't too close to another. You just there you go. Y'all good? Y'all good? Okay. Bach.
Are you serious? Yes.
Who are you? Beethoven. You're going to stand behind Bach.
Okay.
Gotcha? And Beethoven, you get to create a symphony. On the spot, I want you to sing that symphony you've always had in your heart. However it starts, whatever that symphony is, nobody else's symphony. I want you to create your own symphony. Does that make sense? Bach, you get to interpret physically what you're hearing. You get to show whatever you're hearing, show it in your body. And it can be in your hands, it can be in one's foot. The only thing I kind of would like is don't move too far out of like here. You know what I mean? Otherwise you start running into it. So I want you to try and take a look. Try to create a language. You ready? Let's get it there. So some really simple things happen, right? When I was using lower pitches, what did he do? He used the lower plane. When I used higher pitches, he moved up in the plane. Now, if I kept doing that, his job would be to find different ways to show me lower and higher pitches. And eventually I would kind of get a sense of, oh, when I do this, he does that. And so I would be able to actually choreograph. But I can't start with a drum solo. You know, you need to create your language. Does that make sense, Beethoven? Bach, if you want to, just close your eyes. Go ahead, Bach. You can trust this one. Bach, you don't trust this one. Let's try 30 seconds. Create that symphony. Ready, set, go. So let's look at our gallery here. Let's take a look at our gallery. So, can you imagine the sound that was happening with Audrey? What about over here? What about Mason? You know, in some of these shapes, can you actually see the sound? Or imagine what got Olivia here? See what we're looking for? Hopefully we're seeing the shape. Now, some of us didn't allow ourselves to move as much, but people were reacting. Let's switch. Okay, Bob. Same thing, but what did you just learn in that process? How are you going to get the most out of your dancer? Dancer, believe me, if you just relax, you don't have to close your eyes, but if you just relax and think about the sound, it'll move you. But my only suggestion would be is take the time to explore this kind of stuff. This is what improv is about. This is not about having to even look good. I don't think it's about that. It certainly isn't about doing the right thing. But what it is about doing. Does that make sense? So, and believe me, I will laugh at you. I will laugh at you. But it's all on the experience, and the more you allow yourself to just kind of relax in these exercises, the more times you'll be able to laugh and laugh with it. Make sense? So, Bob, what did you learn? Give them a 30-second symphony. Ready, set, go. You always want to be centered. You really do. And these are good exercises to be in touch with where that core is at all times. So let's talk about different types of sound. Is this still heavy? I don't know. What does it feel like? Any words? Any words? Bass. Metal. Any other words what that feels like? Relax. What does this feel like? What does it sound like? What does it look like? Who? Robot? Oh, like that. Any others? Okay, absolutely. String. There you go. Relax. What about this? Stay confident. Stay with me. Look at his feet. Man, that's carefree. Yeah. Dancing. Relax. What about here? Anything else? Punch. Everybody, relax. Come on over here a second. Have a seat down here. So, you guys are participating in an improv and performance workshop. That's what this is. And I'm going to be here, I don't know, several times between now and the end of the band season at various points, you know, as you're putting the show together, as you're about to perform, as we're getting ready for the big show toward the end of the season. So you'll see me periodically. And what this workshop is something that we're going to layer on top of everything we do. And we do it through these three different ways. So improv in games, which is kind of what we just did, right? And we do the improv in games so that we can give ourselves the opportunity to kind of play around with characters or play around with feelings without having any kind of real focus to it, so that we can explore. By improv, that means you are thinking on the spot, you're reacting and doing on the spot. And that idea just frees up ideas once you allow that freedom. We play games, all kinds of games. I got hundreds of games. If you guys got any games, please send them to me. I love games. But with both the improv exercises and the games, we're looking for certain things. That's why I ask questions. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Because we want to take those games or the experiences that we get with the games, we want to take those and then use them once we get into the show, right? We want to use them once we start working on our character. So, character, that's the other part of this. We're going to be talking about character a lot. The cool thing about your show is that it's what I would call pretty literal. You know, there's scientists, there's time machines, there's going back and forth in time. Is there a love story? Yeah. There's always a love story, isn't there? And so, we're kind of literal. And our characters are going to be pretty well defined by the era that we're in, right? You know, they're going to be so different one to the other. So our characters are going to be something that are going to be very important that we are aware of at all times. And because you are both going to be 18...
Yeah, late 18th century.
18th century as well as
1980s.
As the 1980s, we're going to have to really tap into what's the difference. How do they hold themselves? How do they move forward in this world compared to the folks in 1980, right? And there's ways that we can come up with cool little things that will give what I call movement identifiers. That the minute you start walking across a floor, I'll know if you're 1980 or 1740. Because we'll talk about what that means. And they do walk differently, you know? So as we go through character development, you'll get lots of opportunities to go back to improv and try out stuff. I don't think Mr. Norman is going to tell you you have to smile on count 24. That doesn't happen, right? What it is that we want you to show joy for 4 phrases. And you have all of those different improv games and experiences to give us different levels of joy, right? Just like when you were just doing the Bach and Beethoven, as you go forward, you have to come up with different ways to show low pitches as opposed to high pitches. Make sense? So as we go through this character development, you're going to be improv and you're going to be playing around with ideas. You're going to allow the staff to go, I like that, maybe not so much that. But you get an opportunity to really be a part of creating these characters. Does that make sense to you? The other thing is, and this is kind of a personal thing. Some of you guys are theater folks, but how many of you understand the idea of subtext? You know, there you go. Got that in English lit. It's, you know, no matter what Romeo is saying, it's all about what Romeo wants, right? And that dictates how he says it. So he could be saying one thing, but if all he's trying to do is to get around over to Juliet, then everything he says to whoever is going to be moved by that. It's the same thing in a band show. It's exactly the same thing. Every time you play a phrase or you do an equipment, some choreography, there is an idea of a story. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end. Good flag work, those of you that are flags, boy, it starts off, it initiates with something, right? It develops into something, and then it ends. Same thing with the clarinet part. You know, any movement within a piece, it starts one way, it develops, it resolves. When I tell stories, beginning, middle, end. No matter what you're playing, or no matter what you're spinning, or whatever it is you're doing. If you have an idea of images and a story that goes with it, If when you play mezzo forte, it's because you are lurking, it's going to change how you play it. It's going to absolutely change how you move from the lower plane to the higher plane. Because you're going to feel more like you're in a place rather than going from one count to the next. Does that make sense? So if you're playing a phrase and it feels like fog, you're not going to be blaring. It's not going to be tinny, right? It's going to be a softer, more velvety tone. And that's what we're looking for. I want in every movement of your show, I want you to have a little storyline. This feels like I'm moving through the fog, coming into daylight, and the sun is shining on my face. You ever play a phrase like that? No. You know what I mean? You ever do a flag phrase like that? So that's what we're looking for all of the time throughout all of our shows. So we're going to start doing it little by little. Does that make sense? Find another part. And that is a way of kind of getting everybody to understand the same reason for moving or the same storyline or narrative, is if everybody kind of understands kind of the same movement principles. You guys are blessed to have Juliet here. You guys, you don't know how amazing she is in terms of a movement technician and a dancer herself. You are probably all she dances, but there are certain efforts that all dancers use. Not only dancers, but people who build cars. There are certain efforts that we can tap into and try to figure out, well, what does that mean? For instance, the 8 efforts come from this guy named Laban Robbins. I call him Laban. French guy, choreographer. Turn of the century, like 1890 or something like that. He was a choreographer. And he decided to come up with a way to notate dance. Just like he created a way to, show music with notes. He came up with symbols and things that you could take a ballet from 1890, write it down to someone in 1990 could go, oh yeah, this is what this looks like. Which was kind of impressive. Hadn't been done. He studied movement so much that eventually, what's that guy's name? Ford. Henry Ford hired him to come and look at his workers because they were just working with conveyor belts. They were just trying to figure out what was the most efficient way for his workers to move from A to B. He started seeing exactly what was the most efficient and less laborious way to move. He'd watch children in the playground, and he'd see the type of movement that they did. And he came to the conclusion that all of human movement, everything we do, whether or not you're getting out of bed or driving a car or walking across the street, all of that movement can be explained with these 8 efforts. He claims that everything you do can be explained in one of these efforts. So, color guard people, so have you learned any choreography yet?
Audition work.
A little bit. So, and have the band had any? No. Well, let's take a dance move that color guard has, some 4 or 5 counts. Can you see or think about it? You don't have to explain it to us, but do you twist in there? Do you punch at any point in time? Do you feel like you're floating? Could you describe that movement with these words?
Oh, with actions?
Yeah.
Or,
No, not for us, but I'm just,
yeah.
same with you. Do these words apply to certain movements? I'm not going to ask you to dance right now. But I am going to ask us all to try to figure out what twist, punch, slash, dab, float, glide, slash, what they feel like. Now here's the difference. There's also these other values to consider. Speed, weight, right? flow that can change a twist from a quick twist to a slow twist. See what I mean? So each one of these efforts has a whole level of ways to interpret it, right? It can be a slow twist with a yank at the end. That breaks people's necks. Or it could be just a quickie, because you gotta move on to the next guy. All of that stuff, though, we can take a look at and then give an emotion to. For instance, flick. If I flick, right? I had to, man. I love your hair. If I flick, that's almost carefree, right? I could care less. But if I dab, how is that different than flick? Give me words. Anything works. Gentler, more deliberate. You see the difference? So, emotionally, if I dab, I'm taking more care, right? But emotionally, if I flick, I could care less. So by looking at these different efforts, maybe we're then able to apply an emotional connection. Does that make sense? We've talked enough. Stand up. So, one of you is Mozart, the other is Brahms. He's the lullaby guy. Not a lot of hits in this time. Brahms, you're going to stand behind this time. And I want you to use the effort. I want you to use twist and say twist, but to say it in different ways so that we hopefully can elicit different responses from. Ready? Punch, 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 dab, dab, dab. What do you do? Everyone does. You want to keep it going, but you want to say it in a way that will get him to move. Does that make sense? Or y'all ready? Use any one of these and try to keep it going. Okay, 30 seconds. Oh, already started. And when I say freeze, watch my lips. When I say freeze, I really want you to freeze and be as exact as you can, because then we're going to look at the gallery and we have to guess what effort. Does that make sense? So when I say freeze, make sure you're freezing in that last effort, and we'll see if we can guess what they are. 30 seconds, ready, set, go. Statue, stay where you are, everybody else has a seat. Take a look. Really try to hold this. Really try to hold it. What do you think? What effort? Only people on the floor get to. Effort here, what do you think? What does it look like? Look at the entire body. Sometimes they're going from one effort to the other. It's not as obvious, but make a guess. Float. Relax. What do we have here? What? Press. Really use your we really want to hear you. What do we have over here? What do you think this is?
Slash.
Yes. Ah, what is this? What is it? So it's not twist or punch. What is it? Punch. It was punch. Relax. What do we got here? Don't move. Anybody want to guess? I'm saying twist.
Is it float?
Float. Have a seat. What about here? Okay. And here? How about here? Float. Oh, well, go back to that. So, some people saw glide, right? And I agree with glide because float is kind of going straight up. Glide has a bit of a forward movement to it, right? Because you're going into that direction when you're gliding. So there was a bit of a forward, so I understand glide. Float sometimes would be more rounded and more, make sense? Good, thank you for relaxing. What do we got here? It's subtle, but it's there.
Slash.
Yeah. Yes. Punch. Oh.
Yeah.
What do we have here? What do we have? Okay, one more. What do we have?
Stand.
Yeah, flick. That moment right here. The rest of you guys relax. Thank you very much. Okay, switch. Go. Really move them.
Punch. Press. Press. Punch. Twist. Twist. Twist.
All right. Soldiers, have a seat. Look at our gallery. The one thing, hopefully, we're all noticing is the folks who get to the second, put more energy into it. Don't let the second time be that time. Allow yourself to get into it. Look at the shapes. Just generally, do the shapes look more dynamic than before?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's that way because even I could hear it, you guys are loud. You were more, there was more energy behind your efforts, and we see it in their bodies. All right, what do we got here? Dab. Press. Yes. What do we